Hey there, everybody. Mandy here, and I just wanted to take a couple minutes to talk to you guys about the importance of having a cohesive digital presence and social media feed. I like to use the analogy sometimes like your social media feed and the visual appeal of it is similar to writing a hook at the beginning of an essay. Like in school, whenever you're writing an essay, they always say you have to have an attention grabber at the beginning. And for me, that's what I think that the visual aesthetic of your social media presence is. Um, I think that it's really important to make sure that there's a little bit of a wow factor when people come across your feed. Um, Social media is really an interesting place because there's, features like the explore page where posts will just get kind of thrown on there, and sometimes you'll come across really cool stuff without even really looking for it. So if someone is looking through their explore page and they come across this really interesting looking post and they click on it, they might not even be on the market for orthodontic work or a new dentist or something like that. But they come across this interesting looking post and all of a sudden that's their hook. They're reeled in and they're finding themselves on your social media page. From there, it's important to have that conversion of people being interested enough to stick around. So some of the things that I like to implement with my clients is using some psychology really to create a visually appealing um, social media page. For instance, as humans, it's natural for us to look for patterns and shapes. That's just how we are. And so, something that I work with my clients to do is making sure that one, all of our photos are edited the same way. My personal preference is to edit in Adobe Lightroom. And what I do is I make sure that I'm bringing out the important colors. Sometimes that could be leaning into the branding colors. For instance, if your branding is heavily into the blues and more darker tones, then I'm going to lean into that so your photos have a little bit of that appeal. And then I'm going to implement graphics. And by that I mean more text based photos and posts so that there's a little bit of something to break up the feed. And my personal preference is to post in a pattern of image, graphic, image, graphic. And so on that grid, for instance, in Instagram, that's one of the only social media platforms that has an actual grid layout. I really like to have some sharp lines that are formed. I'll insert a couple examples on the screen right now. But I think that this is really, really interesting because I find that as soon as I start implementing these patterns into social media feeds, our engagement increases because when people are come across your feed, they start being drawn to these lines and patterns on your feed. And for instance, with the kind of diagonal lines that are created, that's a natural leading line for your eye. And people find themselves scrolling a little bit because they're wanting to see where the line leads them. So there's a lot of really interesting psychology that goes into building a cool and cohesive digital presence. And I would love to talk to you a little bit more about that. If you aren't already working with NPG as a social media client, maybe this would be something that would work well for you. If this stuff's interesting to you, I would love to talk to you more. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email is mandy@newpatientgroup.com. And I'd love to tell you a little bit more about all this good stuff. Thank you.